Okay, Roland. Hello. Welcome. This is a continuation of book readings for Life is Magic by yours truly. I'm going to be reading chapter 15 today, and thanks for joining me. If you have not heard or read chapters 1 through 14, you can check them out in the playlist here on YouTube for free. If you'd like to get a copy of the book, you can go to Amazon.com or you can go through my website, robfalgiano.com. And if you have listened to a lot of the books so far or read it and you would like to give me a review on Amazon, that would be super awesome. That would really help. I'm going to try maybe running some ads on Amazon soon, and certainly people are influenced by other people's opinions. That is a very real thing. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 15 is called God Before the Universe. So try it so you can actually see my face. Okay, contemplating the nature of God is risky and mentally tiring for many reasons. People have very personal ideas about God if they believe in such a being at all. Understandably, they don't like to be told how they should conceive of a creator, so I'm not going to do that. Some people think of God as a separate being from the universe, and others think of reality as nestled within God, while others believe that all intelligent beings of the universe, including humans, collectively constitute the totality of God. There are plenty more belief systems, too. Any one of these or others could be true. The next few chapters contain further thoughts about the potential nature of God, if one exists, as I strongly believe. They are just possibilities and not meant to be definitive. I'm not convinced any human being could fully define God, and one should be wary of those who insist on absolutes, because labeling and codification are what lead to religions, but not necessarily spirituality, which is wild and free. As discussed, we don't know how this universe began, but we do know that it had a starting point. The Big Bang and rapid expansion of all the compacted matter contained within the singularity pushed through the vast nothingness to establish three-dimensional physical space plus the fourth dimension of time. We don't know if any of these dimensions exist outside of this universe or if they can be found in presumed higher dimensional planes like heaven. We also don't know if reality includes all available dimensional planes and whether that number is infinite like pi. Can God be found at the top of that impossible pyramid? We also don't know why humans experience time as perpetual forward motion instead of being able to travel freely through it, or even to stop time and go backwards. But time is an important agent of perpetual change and evolution. As discussed, in higher dimensions, it might be more fluid. If time is nonlinear on the other side and all action and knowledge occurs faster than the speed of light, that implies an experience that is highly quantum and completely different from anything we know. Humans usually proceed from some core idea of self, changing incrementally in each moment of experience. The universe does not allow anyone to remain still and unchanged. A life without change would eventually become a nightmare anyway. Imagine hearing your favorite song on repeat for all of eternity. The first few times through, you might be thrilled, but by sheer repetition, plus your cumulative, intimate knowledge of every nuance without any possibility for surprise, time after endless time. Does this sentence make sense? The very first time through, you might be thrilled, but by sheer repetition, plus your cumulative intimate knowledge of every nuance without any possibility for surprise, time after endless time, you'd eventually go nuts and might even beg to die. Therefore, perpetual change is both logical and necessary, though it can cause us discomfort and worry sometimes. Since time may be unique to our reality, the more interesting, though grammatically incorrect question is, why is time? Why is time? In one of his free online videos, spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle observed an intriguing difference between animals and human beings, which may give us added insight. Animals, unlike people, do not have a relationship with themselves. Animals don't ponder their own nature or even know what they inherently are. Therefore, they do not suffer the pain of duality, of being both the subject and observer of oneself, who tries to make sense of oneself as we do. Animals don't know they were born and that they will die. They just are. People are far more complicated, for better and worse. Now consider whether it's possible that God, too, was once not unlike an innocent puppy, entirely unconscious and unaware of his, her, its own existence before creating the universe. As pure white light, the all-powerful, eternal, all that there is, existed in perfect stillness and silence as it peacefully pondered precisely nothing, a state of being without thought, action, or time. Then somehow, some way, God awoke, as if from eternal slumber with groggy eyes. For reasons unknown, perhaps even by sheer accident, God suddenly became self-aware. And is it possible that time itself began as this very moment when the infinite creator first contemplated itself? In other words, was time invented of necessity because God suddenly awoke? The Big Bang the Big Bang might represent God's sudden awareness of self. It was like an explosion of consciousness, faster than the speed of light in every direction, like an infinite armada of nuclear bombs going off, roaring through hundreds of thousands of light years all at once. Excuse me. Perhaps initially God was stunned to discover its own multitudes, and the look inward began, just as the physical expansion of the universe continued outward. Unfathomably hot, white, opaque plasma burning at millions upon millions of degrees, 10 to the 32nd power Kelvin, which took hundreds of thousands of years of slow cooling to reach even mild visibility after the orgasm of awareness. This speaks to another ancient question, whether awareness, i.e. knowledge, is a blessing or a burden. Naturally, the answer is, it's both. There is a cost to everything we learn and know, and for all that we don't. Knowledge and its opposite, ignorance, each come with benefits and detriments, though I would argue that knowledge is superior when it comes to matters of survival, at least here. And perhaps, if God had remained forever static, ever unchanging, then nothing would have ever come into existence. What else would have been needed? In God's original form, nothing was lacking and nothing was wrong. The concept of lack didn't even exist. God was perfect totality, yet nothing occurs in such a state. Nothing happens. When God wondered, if God wondered, what am I? It was the first thought by any intelligent being of any kind anywhere. Continued self-reflection irrevocably altered the nature of the immortal intelligence. It now pondered itself, simultaneously creating a relationship with itself. As Tolle described, God had acquired its first complication. God awakened as both the subject and object of its existence, which may be the origin of duality. Page flip. Messy human existence in four-dimensional reality is based entirely upon such natural opposites and all shades in between, light and dark, love and hate, subject and object, life and death, good and evil within each individual. These forces motivate nearly all human activity. And if we're each a fragment of the divine, then some aspect of us may also crave a return to the peaceful, uncomplicated, original unity from which God, which might be we ourselves, the collective, was presumably split by accident or design. Ironically, though, if such a reunification was possible, total perfection and relief from worry would be a return to pure being, without thought or action, as noted. In a sense, our lives here in four-dimensional reality require problems in order to make things interesting and provide purpose, even though sometimes those same problems can feel overwhelming and in the worst-case scenarios actually do overtake us should we break down. This is also why all humans, with very few exceptions, are such a mix of light and shade. We think we know what we believe and that we will always act in the best interests of ourselves and others, yet some of our actions are at odds with our belief systems, and we don't understand why we sometimes feel pulled in opposite directions. The light that animates us is very, very bright and pure, the literal essence of God, I believe. It is unambiguous love, elegant, magnificent, simple, and eternal. Animals possess it too, which is why it's so universally understood among beings with high and low degrees of awareness, even down to plant life and seemingly inanimate things like water, earth, stones, and air. Love is felt by all of creation. It's a unifying principle. When the universe was created to give life to all that was, is, and would be, God must necessarily be the light of all stars, which make all other life possible, such that the essence of God was scattered, spread, and diluted among the vast voids of blackness where nothing had ever been before, because nothing else had ever been. Then there's a little bit of a ... for a section break within the same chapter. New thought. If life is in fact God's dream, as some have speculated, then we're all small but important parts. The universe is far more elegant than it is random. When we serve the greater good, as God does by continuing to facilitate reality, then the system/dream, which are one and the same, is presumably in our favor and rewards us with synchronicities, meaningful coincidences which are more than coincidences and signs that we're on the right track, supported by spirit. Perhaps we return home, with a capital H, each night during sleep. Near the end of life, we see that dream and home are as real as earth, and possibly more so. The veil between realms thins when we near a mortal end. Then we die and merge back into the collective. This is beautiful, though I still fear a loss of individual identity within that collective. As a kind of supercomputer magician, God saves everything. Your intellect, i.e., your soul, must survive death because it's a part of God. No soul dies and no energy is wasted. Every soul returns to source and exists in the dreamlike state, which may represent both God's intellect and its hard drive, in computer parlance. When we're back in heaven, perhaps we have the opportunity to collaborate more directly with God and Spirit too. Maybe some bits of the program, like the souls who tried their best to embody good in this realm, become more influential over time, in which case reincarnation is simply a logical application of learning towards an improved and perhaps more satisfying version of existence the next incarnation around. Okay, ... Another break in the chapter. New thought. Related. Imagining God as initially existing in an unconscious state and evolving to a hyperconscious state, I began to wonder if God too had originally been purposeless, like Google Brain, which is covered in the previous chapter. Why do we assume that God has always been the essence of love from inception? I know that may be a controversial thought. As discussed earlier, God made everything in the universe vibrational and therefore musical, like an infinite series of piano strings from subsonic low frequencies to impossible to conceive highs. In creating other beings, God made energies interdependent and intertwined, such that being good to others and to animals, insects, and or nature raises both the receiver and the giver's vibration, and the love given out is a feedback loop which comes back to us. So these relationships can help to lift ourselves when initiated from selflessness in imitation of God. Running the universe may keep God occupied and provide added purpose. When you know and see all, as a God presumably would, and you exist forever, perhaps a purpose needs to be invented. Maybe the creation of other intelligent life evoked a sense of responsibility, such that an entire support system of angels, spirit guides, and other supernatural beings were also conceived and conjured to help manage it. This is both a logical and emotional decision, again, in keeping with the apparent dual mathematical and magical nature of the Creator. Having considered all of the reasons for running reality, God found none better than love. When you are everything and you already have everything, the only thing left which can give pleasure is to share it and give it away. So God did. Sorry, my phone. It's very likely that the long-term evolution of all beings who live forever, meaning both God and immortal souls like us, is towards greater selflessness, because nearly everything that's good flows from it. When we reach out to connect with others, we lift them energetically. All that we do to help make others more comfortable, joyful, and alive within themselves when they bask in the glow of our high vibration will come back as a form of love, reinforcing our own joy. The more we give, we receive. Existence appears to be a long-term, multi-lifetime learning experience towards greater selflessness and generosity until way down the road, when we reach the very end, if there is one, we merge back with Source forever to improve God's understanding of its creations, which, if true, is also a way for God to better know itself as the one who is all, thus enhancing its perfection. Love works better because it helps get things done. It brings unity, order, and satisfaction. Hate seeds division and chaos, and it cannot create, only destroy. Love is the only foundation upon which anything substantive can ever be built. Both love and hate are required in this dualistic universe, but love is the better choice, and people learn this in time, whether that's one lifetime or thousands, and it's also why justice always wins over the long arc. A universe that is divided would ultimately cease to function, so that isn't allowed. Its continued existence is ensured by the Creator. It can be stretched, but it cannot be broken or divided. My notion of God as an evolving being and not static may be partly supported by something YouTube psychic Cindy at Soulprint Intuitive said in one of her May 2020 videos. Cindy claimed, via her spirit guides, that God did indeed make all that is, but then at some point God made more of all that is too. I would do this if I was God, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Why presume that God stopped creating things after God made us? The universe itself is still expanding, creating more of itself where before there was literally nothing. How little do we know about what else there is or could be part of the Creator's explorations? Yeah. Okay, that's the end of chapter 15. So, since I don't know how much charge is left on my iPad, I will pause here, and then I may read chapter 16, or I may save it for a different day. But I will read chapter 16. Thanks for tuning in. See you again soon, I hope. Thank you.